Hey there, welcome back to my kitchen. So today we are going to be making some recipes that only require one pan. All of these are still super delicious though, definitely not lacking in flavor of course, but using one pan keeps them nice and easy and also leaves you with little to no cleanup. Let's go ahead and get started. First up today, we're making the absolute easiest oven-baked chicken tacos. To begin, I just preheated my oven to 375 degrees, and then now over to my cutting board. I do have 2 chicken breasts here. I'm going to cut those all into bite-sized pieces. Now into a 9x13 casserole dish, I'm going to spray that down just to be safe with a little bit of nonstick spray, and then add all of that chicken into that pan. You'll also want to add 1 cup of your favorite salsa. I'm using a medium salsa, that way it has just a little bit of heat. And then I'm also adding 1 package of chicken taco seasoning. Using a spoon, I'm just going to get that all mixed together right here in this pan, and then use that spoon to spread it out in a nice single layer. Now this is going into the oven for about 12 to 15 minutes until the chicken is cooked all the way through. And then after the 12 to 15 minutes is up, I'm just pulling the chicken out and giving it a little bit of a mix. As you can see, it doesn't get too watery or anything. That chicken taco seasoning will actually absorb a lot of that liquid and make this not super thin. Now over the top, I'm also adding about a cup of Mexican shredded cheese. I'm going to add this back into the oven for just a couple minutes, just enough to melt the cheese. Here's what it looked like when it came out of the oven. I just added some parsley over the top for a little bit of color. And then this is what it looked like in my wrap. I added some hot sauce, sour cream, and some avocado on top. But like I said, this is a very, very quick and easy dinner. If you are somebody that does not like to cook but wants a very quick dinner at home, this is definitely ideal for that. Up next, this is something that I have never made before, but I did see a picture that I wanted to recreate, and this is what I ended up coming up with. Go ahead and preheat your oven to 400 degrees. So to begin, I'm taking a bag of these small little baby red potatoes, and I'm just going to cut all of these up into smaller pieces and try to get them all about the same size. As I cut them, I'm just removing any bad pieces or any pieces that look a little funny, and then adding them over here into this colander. Once they are all cut up, I'm going to wash them really well and then add them into a bowl. Now, if you don't want to dirty any other pans than the pan that you're baking with, you can just add these straight to your baking sheet and mix it all on there. But I decided to use this bowl just to keep things a little bit easier for me to mix up. Into these potatoes, I'm adding about 2 tablespoons of olive oil, a half teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of oregano, a few shakes of pepper, and about a half teaspoon of garlic powder. I got that all mixed together, and then over onto my sheet pan, I'm spraying it down with some nonstick spray so my potatoes don't stick too badly. Add your potatoes right on there, and then spread them out all over the sheet pan, that way they can all cook pretty evenly. Into the oven, these went for about 10 minutes, and during that 10 minutes those were in the oven, I went ahead and got everything else ready to go. So using the same bowl that I used for the potatoes, I'm just adding a can of these Italian style green beans. Italian style is our favorite, that's why I'm using those, but you can just use regular if you prefer. Onto these green beans, I am going to season them with a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, a few shakes of pepper, a few shakes of salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of oregano. And now I'm just going to mix those up and set those to the side until we're ready to use them. Now we're going to make the topping for the chicken, and this stuff is phenomenal. I am adding about 3/4 cup of mayonnaise into this bowl, along with a 1/2 cup of shredded Parmesan cheese, a 1/4 cup of frozen spinach that had been thawed out, a 1/4 teaspoon to a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, just depending on how much garlic you like, and about a 1/4 to a 1/2 teaspoon of dill, again depending on how much dill you like, and then a few shakes of salt. Go ahead and get this mixed together, and then again set this to the side until we're ready to use it. Now, last thing we're going to do before those potatoes come out of the oven is I have 2 chicken breasts. I am just cutting those in half and then lightly seasoning them with some salt, pepper, and garlic powder. No measurements, I just want to give them a little bit of flavor to build on. So once the potatoes have come out after that first initial 10 minutes, I'm going to move them all around and then push them over to one side of the pan. Now I'm taking my chicken breasts and I'm just going to add those right up against those potatoes. And then taking that spinach mixture, I'm going to spoon that evenly over all 4 of those chicken breasts and spread it over the tops. Now in this little tiny space we have over here, it's the perfect amount of room to add those green beans on. I'm just going to spread those out in that little space over there, and then these are going right into the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes until that chicken is cooked all the way through, and the tops of that creamy spinach mixture should be nice and golden at this point. You also just want to make sure that your potatoes are fork tender. This is what my plate looked like when this was all done. This chicken turned out so good. I love that spinach mixture on the top, and I will be writing all this down to make it again. And over the top of the green beans and potatoes, I did just add a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Next up, we are making this pierogi and smoked sausage meal. To begin, you're going to want to preheat your oven to 400 degrees, and I am using a bowl again like I did in the last recipe, but if you do not want to use a bowl, you don't have to. Just add it all onto your pan and mix it on there. Into this bowl, I am adding in 1 box of these pierogies, and then I'm also taking this package of smoked sausage. I prefer to use the turkey. You can use any kind you like. And for this recipe, I am choosing to cut the smoked sausage at an angle so the pieces are a little larger. I'm also slicing up 1 red bell pepper and about half of a red onion into nice long pieces. Once everything is in my bowl or on your pan, go ahead and add about 3 tablespoons of olive oil, and then for the seasonings I'm adding 2 teaspoons of paprika, 2 teaspoons of thyme, 1.5 teaspoons of garlic, about half a teaspoon of pepper, and 1 to 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I got that all mixed together, making sure that everything was covered in that seasoning, and then I added them onto the pan. When you add them onto the pan, the only thing is you want to make sure that you spread these out in a way that the pierogies are not on top of each other. So just make sure that they are spread all throughout the pan. The rest of it doesn't really matter, you just don't want those to cook on top of each other. I put these in the oven for about 15 minutes, and then this is what it looked like coming out after that 15 minutes. Everything is pretty much cooked at this point. I am going to give it a good mix though and flip everything around, and it's going to go back in the oven for another 10 to 15 minutes. But this time, that cook time is really just to get everything crispy and browned up. As you can see, there is some really good color on this sausage, and the pierogies have got nice and crispy as well. Now I'm just taking about a cup to a cup and a half of this shredded Colby Jack cheese and sprinkling this over the top. I put this in the oven while the oven was off and just let it sit in there for 2 or 3 minutes to melt the cheese, and then this is what it looked like when it was all done. Here is what my finished plate looked like. If you've never tried pierogies before, definitely give them a shot. They're very similar to ravioli. We both really enjoy them, and in this recipe they do get really crispy, and they just pair so nicely with the sausage and all the seasonings in here. The only thing I would do differently next time is I think that I would add an additional bell pepper, but overall this was really good and fun to try something new. If you made it all the way through this video, be sure to leave me a flower down in the comments below so I know you did. I am so thankful to have you here, and I will see you guys back here next time. Bye!